by how INTZ played yesterday. Maybe that was just too much for them. And they're like, nope, don't want to face that.
Maybe they just didn't want to try and be held at the same level as Black Dragons of like, oh, well, if we take them to Villa, we've got to at least get a 7-2. You know, maybe that starts to play into things at that point.
Yeah.
I think, as Tim mentioned there, that the map bans really did go in Liquid's way, but there was always the opportunity and the possibility that that was going to happen. I quite liked the last two of Chalet being available and Team Liquid just being like, yeah, we'll go to Chalet if you want us to. Like, you get to decide sort of thing. But here we are on Consulate. We're seeing the bans ring on through. The clash that was mentioned in the pre-show as well being taken out, interestingly, by Team Liquid, as their bans have been Book and Clash, with Thatcher and the final one yet to be locked in. Mute coming in from INTZ. Mute, an interesting one there. A lot of Mute play going on inside of that bathroom area just outside of Antechamber. Really powerful position and something that's very difficult to deal with. So with that not being a factor, it could make Garage a little bit more exposed for these defenders.
Yeah, and also the ever more popular middle side of Lobby and Press. I don't know anyone who actually calls it Press, but Lobby and Press, again, you're going to see a lot of that public bathroom control. So Mute really important there too. But they're going straight to the split site, actually, it looks like, unless they change it right at the last minute. I'm pretty sure that is Archives and Tellers. So the only site, really, that we haven't spoken about so far. Really interesting, actually, I think. It's INTZ who are starting on the defense. So they're going to be the ones setting the pace here on Consulate. And Consulate's one of those maps where you typically expect it to be maybe slightly attacker-sided. Depending on the teams, it could be even, but you don't look to it being defender-sided. So I would argue that INTZ are probably on the lower foot with this one just by starting on the defense, and especially just going to this site that isn't super popular. I'm wondering if maybe they're doing it to try and throw Team Liquid off.
There's every possibility that it could be to try and throw Team Liquid off the scent. I'm intrigued by the lineup that INTZ have chosen to bring. Often we'll see a castle when this split site is chosen, and of course with the addition of a Rooney, that's another option that you can bring as well. But INTZ have said, nope, we don't want any of that. We're just going to go for quite a classic roaming combination. Got the Mozzie, Malusi, almost a must-have in this day and age. Arcade as well, of course, those Electroclaws proving worth, alongside an Oryx. Now, an Oryx is very interesting. Obviously, the ability is a short, sharp sprint, and the ability to jump up through hatches from low to high. So, opportunity to roam. There's a lot of hatch game here on Consulate, and I expect Vitz is looking to try and take a bit of advantage of that.
Yeah, that's the really important thing as well, because as the attackers head into the upstairs site, which is the one that typically gets planted in, and Team Liquid are a very objective-focused team. They like to plant. That's something that PSK is very good at, although it's actually Sexy Cake who's holding onto the diffuser for now, so that could be his job in this one. But when they go for that, having the Oryx at your disposal to be able to jump up very quickly through the hatch in Visa, for example, to come and flank them, that could be something that takes them by surprise and maybe seriously disrupt that planting situation.
Control of admin gained, and control of the first blood gained as well, as Moringa swings on in, finds Hornetau, Duds trades out over into Nesk. As more locations are known of these defenders, as Liquid are playing quite a patient game, just getting themselves on the rappel and letting the drones do a lot of the hard work for them in terms of gathering that information, and then only seemingly pushing in when clear. Nesk really got caught out there on the Ash. It's going to be a little bit of a blow. There's a lot of a lot of soft destruction there on the Ash that they're going to look to try and make a use of. There is only a minute left remaining. Paolo looks to make a bit of a rotation now, as so many angles are being opened up, as Moringa is really putting his hammer to work. You can see already only got 14 charges left in that thing, as he's laying waste to a lot of this floor.
Team Liquid are playing very patiently, but because there's still 4 members of INTZ up, they do need to get a move on because they could get punished. And you're going to be looking at potential C4 punishment. Sexy Cake is going in for the plant. Drunks is not too far away, and VNX looks like he's getting ready to throw a C4 up from down below, but it doesn't really matter. Palu brings down Vitz, they get the diffuser down, and now they can just move away and prepare for the post-plant situation. In goes some of those Toxic Babe canisters, but it doesn't seem to be doing much other than slightly chipping away at Palu. And this looks very much in Team Liquid's control, with just 2 players left remaining from INTZ and no real look to push on forward. It brings Sexy Cake down to a DBNO, but with 16 seconds left, what are they going to be able to do with these crossfires?
It'll be certainly a tough task as Palu finds one, Moringa the second. Liquid find the round. I love how Sexy Cake just strolls on into sight like it's any other room inside of the map and just hops up onto the filing cabinet and puts that diffuser down. It's a perfect plant location. You're not going to get C4'd from below. It's going to be difficult to try and get an angle onto you to shoot you as well. And Team Liquid only took what they needed in that map. They needed control of admin, they needed control of Visa, and they needed control of a couple of staircases. That's exactly what they got. Sort of tick box stuff. And easily a round win. 1 round, 1 plant, 1 win.
Looked very calm for Liquid. And I think maybe this is a bit forward to say, but INTZ almost looked a little bit scared because when it was a 4 versus 4 and Team Liquid were running out of time, for a lot of teams, that would be a massively pressurizing situation. But INTZ didn't really put a ton of pressure on Team Liquid as they were planting. They didn't kind of control the pace of everything that was happening. They didn't make them scared. They didn't want to push forward. And then even when they were in the post-plant situation, there was still no assertiveness. By that point, they'd given Liquid all of the room they needed to set up all these crossfires and make it virtually impossible for them to do anything. INTZ need to get it in their head that they have to be a threat to Team Liquid and not worry about the fact that Team Liquid are a threat to them.
Tough stuff there for INTZ to try and digest and figure out. Obviously opting now for a change of site. Preston Lobby will be their selection, so really avoiding that top floor, avoiding that garage, the more popular sites that we see, and looking to try and get an advantage in some of these secondary and tertiary picks. I don't think Team Liquid are going to be too concerned as their lineup hasn't really changed all too much aside from the addition of an IQ. However, INTZ have chosen this time to bring the Aruni. It's going to be Drunks that has chosen that operator. I'm sure that those Aruni gates are going to cause some frustration, but for how long?
Yeah,
sorry, go on.
Oh, actually combining with the Aruni with the Ella as well, they've really lent into this idea of kind of holding back the attackers and their push more so than anything really aggressive as with the strong roam that they went for before.
Drunk seems to have a bit of intel there, but he looks to be making his way downstairs, maybe playing for a bit of a flank or a longer game. Team Liquid seem really intent on taking this admin side. It's exactly where they mounted their attack in the previous round, and do see teams either favour one side or another. Yellow Stairs is obviously a very popular location on this map as well, and well-executed Yellow Stairs push is possibly one of the more beautiful things inside of this game, but Liquid seems to be having a lot of success over in admin.
They know that there is a player down in kitchen, and setting up the air jab above both the spiral stairs and the Visa stairs here means that it's going to be a lot harder for that player to rotate back up. That gives Liquid a lot of space and a lot of control. Throwing over the flashes to burn out the ADS, followed up by a nade. I wonder if they are actually going to place a breach onto this wall. Palu's just providing some pressure onto the meeting window as well. They know they have to flush out these players.
Call for some utility burn there as there was an ADS inside of theatre. Liquid are all pulling in the same direction now. Palu in a dangerous location as well on the balcony. He's able to hold the crossfire. Sexcake holding that diffuser. Palu really keen that he isn't going to get run out on here and looking to try and cover his 6 and make sure that no one sneaks on. Oh, look at Nesk as well. He snuck his way in onto Long Desk, another really dangerous location. And you just get the impression that Team Liquid are biding their time. There is 22 seconds left, so not all the time in the world, but they are going to look to try and get this plant down. It's possibly going to be their win condition at this moment in time because all the kills are unlikely to come through. Sexy Cake seeing a huge chunk of damage as he tries to stick that diffuser in the Toxic Babe canister. He is now locking it in, but look, 4 seconds left on the clock. If he gets taken out, there's going to be a problem, but he's not because the cover is there from Liquid. 3 kills in as many seconds, make it 4 as all of a sudden 5 versus 1. Poor old Vits, a drop from Paolo, a flawless from Liquid.
Just absolutely perfect setup of the angles and the crossfires they needed, even though there were all those players still standing from INTZ. And just like there was in the last round, it didn't really bother Liquid. Their priority here and their goal is not necessarily to get all those early kills, it's to get an understanding of where everyone is, give themselves the space they need to set themselves up to essentially make a maze through which INTZ cannot traverse. They will not survive. We got to see Nesk on the spiral stairs. He could hold the entrance into Antechamber as well as all the way down into Piano. But we didn't necessarily see where everybody else was. But what we did see is the direct result of those players in INTZ trying to rotate into the site and stop everything. You can see just those beautiful kills from Nesk again at the end there. It was just so perfectly set up. It is an art form. Liquid makes it look very much that way, and it's a really hard thing for INTZ to try and deal with as well, because it's not like they're necessarily being faced with 1v1s during the majority of the round, but now they come to realize that, oh man, when we try and deal with this situation, even though we thought we had a decently comfortable number of men on the board, we can't. They have total control.
That is the power of Team Liquid. A 4-second plant there, just looking like the easiest thing in the world for those guys as the kills continued to fly. All they did was just using the entirety of the round to set themselves up, and I'm sure that that's what they're going to try and do again. But the question is, what can INTZ do about that? Well, they've got to remove Team Liquid from being able to get themselves into those positions. And what I mean by that is maybe challenging a little bit harder, because whilst we're not seeing a lot of deaths in the early round from INTZ, we're also not seeing any kills from them either. And sure, it's good enough to sort of hold positions and burn a little bit of time, but Team Liquid aren't a team that fear the clock. They don't fear that 6th man. They really are happy to make that work against you as a defender, and that's what we've been seeing quite regularly.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but if you are bringing a Malusi, a Jaeger, a Mozzie, you need to be playing aggressively. And this time they've decided to bring the 2 French operators as well. There is a kill from them. Bringing Nesk down, he was vital in that last round. And Vitz is still just going to be sat here in the bathroom, but he doesn't have his Jaeger on the yellow stairs to look after. Kind of classic sort of strategy that was brought in a little while ago to have the Doc Jaeger guarding those yellow stairs.
A lot of information being pinged out here as Toxic Babe canisters already getting burnt at the minute 40 mark. Volatile is going to want to try and hold on to at least a few of those because, well, only one of those and you can deny 25 seconds of time. We've already seen how willing Team Liquid are to leaving it to the dying second. Another Toxic Babe canister comes in and Paolu strolls on into bathroom, finds a freebie onto Vitz. I believe he was probably stunned out and full white flashed, but that's a huge portion of control now. Paolu having the bathroom and the top of these yellow stairs can look to try and make something work. He's already locked his sights on his next target, but his next target has already been downed. Drunks inside of CEO is going to get taken out there. Well, it looks as though a confirm from Paolu as he says, you know what, I fancied that kill. I'd locked my sights onto him. I wanted to take him. Sexy Kate once again coming in with that plant, but this time not even required. Moringa goes massive. 2 final kills, and Liquid are making this look easy.
The biggest giveaway to me that was an INTZ problem that round is the fact that towards the end of the round, Liquid were really waning on drones and they still got all of those kills. A lot of it was just INTZ stepping into lines of sight when they needed to be a bit more vigilant. You can't really afford to do that because you will get punished, especially like against a team like Team Liquid. And so the fact that Team Liquid didn't have a ton of intel, they didn't have a load of drones on the field, they weren't going by anything but just holding lines of sight or face checking. And you can't make it that easy for a team like this. You just can't, because we're seeing the effects of that. It's 3-0 and only 4 more of those, and you're not winning.
I mean, that's one way to put it, Gio. 3-0, 4 more of those, you're not winning. Quick maths, right there.
Yeah.
Very true, though. And at this point, where are INTZ going to start to pick up those rounds? Are they going to start to pick up those rounds on attack? Because we know that that's not going to be the easiest thing in the world. We've spoken about how sort of known the roam game is from Team Liquid. That's not going to be an easy thing to try and go up against or try and pin anybody down and start gaining any sort of significant control. So they need to really start trying to do something in the here and now. I'm really intrigued as to why they haven't gone downstairs to Garage. We're back at round number 3. We've seen a full rotation, or at least their full rotation. And we haven't seen Garage once.
Yeah, I was actually wondering this as well, because it's quite typical for most teams, their 3-site rotation to be Lobby, CO, and Garage in whichever order they prefer. But they've decided they clearly really don't want to do it. And part of me wonders if it's because of the way that Garage can be taken with a lot of different angular control, and maybe they don't feel like they can hold that against Team Liquid. Or maybe it's something more personal to the way that they hold it, or how their performance has been in scrims, or whatever it might be, just makes them very uncomfortable on that site. But either way, in not going there, you are broadcasting to your opponent and your opponents of the future that that's a site you really don't like, and that you would prefer to go to a very unpreferable site, being Archives Tellers, and that's something that's quite easy to exploit, I think, for a well-prepared team.
Nesk finding some success early on once again onto Duds. Really looking to see any sort of significant impact from any of the players on the side of INTZ. No one standing up and being counted currently. And Liquid really continuing to run riot over them. Vertical control once again being gained, and Drunks this time is going to be the one to deal the brunt of the R4C damage. Nesk is continuing to pressure on from this hatch, and there's just nothing coming in response. There are 2 C4s on the side of INTZ, and neither of them are in any position to be used. 2 more kills come on in, and VNX goes for a swing, finds one. Is it going to be enough? He's almost going into the Viper's nest here with how much control Liquid have over that Visa and admin area. He makes a full drop, wastes his C4, as Vit sees if he can be the difference maker. Got the Alder in hand, and more than capable of chaining some of these kills together, but look at all the crosses that are being held by Team Liquid. Finds, doesn't find the freebie, instead finds the down and the second, as 2 really important kills come on in. Can he get the third? Yes, he can. Finishes one with the impact nade. And as if by magic, INTZ are well and truly in this thing. Sexy Kate with the drop. 50 seconds, he has some flashes, he's going to try and get an advantage. Not a lot of health remaining on the players on INTZ. Sexy Kate coming with the swing here. Beautiful angle there underneath the desk as he finishes Vits, and now he's locked himself into the 1 versus 1. I think he knows where VNX is playing. 35 seconds left remaining, he's going to go for the exothermic. Maybe a little bit of a bait and switch, at least something to mask the sound of this plank going down. Has VNX got the intel on this? He's going to go for the swing and confirms the kill, and INTZ finally respond with a round.
I have to say, I'm actually pretty impressed with that, because I was wondering if VNX was going to play a little bit more further back and reserved, because that's what we saw last time that Team Liquid were attacking onto this site. He didn't really push forward that much. So I'm glad that he actually managed to get that kill, and hopefully that's a round, the win of which will push INTZ forward at the very least mentally, and make them think, okay, we can take advantage of Team Liquid. We've been able to do it. It was a little bit messy. They need to tighten it up, but it is something. And that's the start of anything, I guess.
The start of any defensive round win in the dying few seconds is with the Alder, and the Alder just dealing those bullets in the best way that it does. That's what you want. You need that bullet hose in that situation when there are just so many angles being held by Team Liquid. I think it was PSK on the Nomad that actually got himself caught pretty short. He had the air jab launcher in hand as opposed to being in his main AR, and that's what got him caught out and into that first down. And from that point onwards, everything really just seemed to fall apart for Liquid, and it was a bit uncharacteristic from what we've seen so far inside of this fixture. But it really is only one round, and INTZ still have quite a bit of work left to do here.
Yeah, there's absolutely no slowing down that they can do here. The one thing that I'm hoping to see, especially after that round, is that INTZ can think about the way that Team Liquid were playing and make adaptations off the back of that. And you can see that they've actually changed up their composition, you know, to begin with. So we've got the Echo now, he'll have the Yokai drones, we've got the Valkyrie, she'll have the Black Eye Cam, so there's going to be a lot more intel as to the locations of Team Liquid. And I think given the way that Team Liquid were playing and how it was all based around their setup, that's going to be infinitely more important to them and give them more of an advantage in those situations. So the fact that they are showing signs of adaptation is good.
Charlie trying to clear out some of the static cameras there. The site, of course, is press and lobby. I believe that Liquid have made their presence known inside a garage, breaching that open. Not sure if they're going to look to try and play some reverse angles or not, as of course all of that floor is going to be, oh sorry, all that ceiling is destructible. Maybe look to try and gain some sort of ground there. PSK on yellow stairs. And these nomads out and already looking to try and zone off these defenders. Time to gather some intel, as you can see with the outlines that there are a couple of players remaining for INTZ on this top floor, and I'm not sure if they have been accounted for yet by the drones of Liquid.
Well, they have plenty of time to be gaining that information, and they have, of course, only lost one of their drones, so there's plenty of that out and about for them. We know that Liquid like to play this quite slowly, methodically, so the time count as it stands is not much of an issue for them. Nest's going to be swinging into the building while Moringa holds the upside down rappel, and they're just going to be still gathering information on where those players inside the building are. We noticed that there was a Black Eye outside too, so it looks like INTZ are looking to see if anyone is still out there, while Vitz throws in what I believe was his third smoke canister, and he's going to be taking a ton of damage too. Sexy Cake is actually going straight in for the plant, while all of the defenders are still standing, and there's nothing being done about it. He had absolutely no pressure applied to him, and once again we find ourselves in a post-plant situation. There's Hornetown going out to Palu, and this is probably going to be where we start to see the players of INTZ fall because of the post-plant setups that we see from Team Liquid.
Vitz is finding just how hard it is to get out of that bathroom area, as hard as it is to get in there as an attacker, and sees the pain of that. 17 seconds left on the defuse timer. It really isn't going to be a great deal of time, especially when Liquid are getting all of the kills, and INTZ are falling like flies. Team Liquid once again, a plant and a flawless round. Really starting to chain them together. Every one of these rounds, the diffuser is at least being attempted to be planted. I think 4 out of 5 it has been.
Oh yeah. I mean, they attempted to plant on all of the rounds, but obviously failed on round 4 because they lost the round, and back on round 3 the plant was going on, but they got all of the kills, which is actually what finished out the round anyway, so they didn't manage to finish planting in the first place. So Team Liquid have been very, very objective focused, and I think what's also key about it is that while they've been taking their time in the rest of the rounds, once they're in there, they don't hang around waiting to plant the objective. This is no last 10-second game. This is, we're just going to go for it, because what are they going to do? And that's a genuine question. What are they going to do? Because so far, INTZ have done nothing about it. The fact that Sexy Cake has had the freedom to sit and plant without any kind of hindrance is an absolute disaster for INTZ. And I am going to word it like that because it is unforgivable to be playing at this level and provide not even a tickle of the surface hairs of your body with a bullet zooming past it onto Sexy Cake. He is just free as a bird to do what he wants, and it's nuts.
It really does just come down to the kills as well. We can look across while we're in the expanded view at the kills on the side of INTZ. 7 kills inside of 6 rounds really isn't a lot to be going on with. You know, just over 1 kill per round It's nothing in the grand scheme of things. It really is a drop in the ocean, and that just speaks to how dominant Liquid have been in the gunfights, and it all goes hand in hand and it all ties together beautifully. And that's just that if you win in the gunfights, you can gain the control, and if you have the control, you can win the gunfights. It really does just go hand in hand like that, and that's what Liquid are able to do at the moment. They're winning the gunfights because they have the control, and they can get the control because they're winning the gunfights. It is just a symbiotic relationship like that, and I think they're just taking full advantage. And Sexy Cake, yeah, he's going to feel pretty safe getting that defuse down when he's got the likes of, you know, Paolu and Moringa that are providing that covering fire.
PSK just looking out for these players who are downstairs. You can see you can hear, one of the drones nearby, which will be giving him some information, although I believe it just got shot out. Moringa picking up the diffuser. This site is on the top floor, so despite the fact that they are spending some attention down in the basement, that is just because of the wide roam that INTZ are exhibiting, and not actually because that's where the site is itself. Now, last time INTZ did try to hold a yellow stairs hold, but they lost their Jaeger very quickly, and they brought along a Rook and a Doc. So it was that kind of old school at this point, Jaeger, Doc hold on the yellow stairs. But you have to make that last. That has to really run the clock down, and it didn't before. Vitz will be the first casualty, so that means your Mozzie is gone, and it looks like Team Liquid should have some freedom to actually move in on their take soon. Ness gets a second kill, and Drunks is down in the hatch, just waiting to throw up a C4, but no one is actually close enough to him just yet. He knows that that yellow stairs is having all the attention paid, but he gets punished by PSK, who was right there with a drone, knowing where he was, and now that move-in is safe.
Yellow stairs control has been completely gained by Team Liquid. All they've got to do is burn out a few of these Toxic Babe canisters, and with 50 seconds, they'll be glad of the break. All they need to do is continue this execute. We can already see the stun grenades getting thrown on up. VNX finds one onto Paolu, carelessly rotating up spiral stairs, and a second kill swings in for Hornetal. The plant, however, is going down and will be being covered. A swing isn't successful as PSK is holding covering fire, and VNX once again in a 1 versus 3 post plant finds the first, beautifully threading it through onto those yellow stairs, but he's got an upside down rappel to deal with, and we all know what they can be like. Very difficult situation to find himself in. Diffuser planted just the other side of the couch, and Sexy Cake perhaps getting himself onto rappel as well. VNX going to try and hit that diffuser, but Moringa has been around the block and he knows he has got plenty of time to peek over onto that one. Finishes the final kill for Team Liquid. They have a cracking attacking phase.
Oh, they've done incredibly well. And now I'm very interested in this next half because, yeah, there's the potential that it could turn around because INTZ are on the attack. But even just because of what you mentioned before about Liquid having a very strong roam and being known for it, also think back to yesterday and how INTZ's attack went there. It was really stunted. It was super limited. They really, really struggled. You could tell that they were trying to go for these full map clears that just got completely stopped at the smallest sign of aggression. And even then, one thing that I remember is it was very one-dimensional. So you allowed defenders to take some control of the map and use it to their advantage that they wouldn't normally be able to. And what I'm specifically referencing is not having any kind of study pressure when they were coming down from the north side onto an AVG defense, which meant that the last defenders could hold study from within study at the same time, so you had multiple angles onto the top red door. So if that's something that they exhibit once again here, that's going to really hurt them, because Team Liquid, of all teams, will be able to pull off successful flanks if they are not watching it successfully.
One-dimensional attacks against a team like Team Liquid are not going to work, and that was the overarching feel you're right about yesterday and what we saw from INTZ. It's a different map. We're on console. Sorry, on consulate. There isn't much room to, have that one-dimensional attack. You have to be pressuring from multiple sides, as that really is just part and parcel. It's a very small map. You can fit a lot of it into the observer overview as well. It really isn't a very big map, so you've not really got any excuse for all funneling down one particular lane. And I'm sure that INTZ are going to look to try and rectify that from yesterday. got a couple of chances here to try and get a couple of rounds on the board, but you're going to have to start by getting some kills. We've been speaking about it so far quite a bit this evening, and it really is just something that they are lacking. Real lack of kills on the side of INTZ, and I don't know, more kills than they know what to do with on the side of Liquid.
I think we're only 2 rounds away, of course, from taking this entire game. And I don't think there's anybody out there who is expecting this to be much of a barn burner. It's just how much is it going to go in Liquid's favor? Well, as for opening kills, this round is going to go in INTZ's favor. So that's at least something to see. Hornertown taking that one for himself. And that's removing Sexy Cake as well. So an anchor who you would look to for those late rounds, especially with the yokai drones, which are important in a post plant. And they don't have a smoke either. So that's quite a valuable kill as well for INTZ.
He's got himself on the bathroom rappel, looking to try and gain a bit of intel, but I would imagine his drone got taken out pretty quickly by that Maestro. Nesk has received that information loud and clear. Paolo looking to challenge aggressively onto the skylight. Just chancing his arm, seeing if he can catch anybody on a rotation on that roof. He knows that there's going to be some players playing up on there. My fear here is that INTZ are using quite a large portion of their time, and they really haven't gotten to the meat of the defense here that Liquid have managed to set themselves up. Moringa just a little bit of redecorating inside of Connector. The SK is going to be holding, interestingly, a mirror window downstairs, looking for anyone that could be trying to drop that hatch, or anyone that could be on the yellow stairs and try and gain a little bit of pressure from both sides on that. Another kill coming in for INTZ. This is looking pretty good so far. If they can set this execute up, might be in with a chance at getting the round. They've managed to put some smoke canisters down upstairs as well, and I'm sure there's going to be eyes are thinking about getting the plant down. Hornetown does look to confirm that. Moringa looking to try and make something happen, as it seems as though he's dropped off onto the second floor, and he will in fact get found out. Duds comes in with the final kill. The plant was momentary, and INTZ respond.
Determined to keep themselves in this game, and it's certainly refreshing to see. But my fear, and I hate to bring it up so early and not necessarily lean too much into the good side of that, but my fear is absolutely that Team Liquid are going to be incredibly adept at adapting to that when it comes back around to going to CEO. Now, that won't be this round, as Team Liquid have decided they're going to head down into the basement, which is something that we didn't see INTZ do. They did go to the split site. I don't really count that as the basement. I'm thinking garage and cafeteria. This is a site that INTZ didn't look comfortable defending whatsoever. They absolutely refused to go there. So how is their attack going to compare? It looks like Team Liquid are going to have that roam that we spoke about, but also they're gonna be bringing like the Kaid as well, and I'm wondering if not being able to open up the garage will be a problem for INTZ, because the thing here is that if you want to get it open, you got to remove the claws. If you want to remove the claws and you don't have a Thatcher, well, then you need to do it from above. But if Team Liquid have got a roam going on, then how much are INTZ going to be willing to push into that and have success against it in order to open up that floor as required? Well, they looked more aggressive in that last round than they did in the entirety of their defense, so there is hope, but there still is also that risk.
This is where we maybe see a bit more of a dangerous Team Liquid. They've got the opportunity to get out on the roam now, and they've taken that opportunity with both hands. We can see that in the operators that they have selected. We've got Sexy Cake on the Vigil. We've got, obviously, a Jaeger and a Malusi as well. And they're all operators that we can look toward for a bit of roaming action. Palu upstairs as well as the Aruni. He's got the laser gates that he can use to assist him in his endeavor. It's going to cause quite a large utility soak before the attackers even get to the basement level. So I would expect to see Team Liquid a little bit more dominant here inside of this round, because you just have that opportunity to really get out there and waste a bit of time nice and early. Once again, as I say that, Sexy Cake finds himself first blooded for the second round in a row, and for the second round in a row to Hornetown, really giving a bit of an impact here on that upside down rappel on the balcony. Looking to try and clear out this top floor.
Supremely important as well, because as you mentioned, that is one of those key roamers, and they've just found Nesk at the top of the yellow stairs as well. So INTZ have a solid idea as to where these players are, and VNX is going to be pushing up. Nesk actually rotates all the way back down, and Palu too, so they're going to be playing very site-centric now, and I like that INTZ have been able to have that influence. They can start putting down these air jabs, getting more control of what's going on in that upstairs story, and this should give them the opportunity to actually set up for the push into site now.
Really force the players on Team Liquid back down to that site and to figure out how and where they are going to hold from. Paolo making himself some punch holes there, conscious the pressure could be coming from the back as well. Moringa's got himself not quite inside of Archives, just the corridor, blue corridor that leads into there, and maybe conscious of the rear stage stairs that we can see there is an attacker lurking by. The SK has a Nitro in hand, just seemingly looking for someone to throw it at. There may be people upstairs as well. Goes for the toss, but sure if he is going to detonate as of yet. Nesk really seeming to be struggling to find somewhere to play, as Liquid really look as though they're getting pressured from multiple angles here. It's quite a difficult position to be in, but for the time it is ticking, and INTZ, they haven't got all the time in the world to try and make this plant happen. There is still a C4 left on the side of Liquid if it does come to that. So far, Liquid are just retreating. It looks as though they may be planning some sort of a retake here and just really chancing their arm that INTZ might not get it down. Duds goes for a kill over onto PSK, but traded almost instantly. The diffuser cold on the threshold of the garage door, but it is recovered and will start to be planted. Nesk now in a bit of a retake as he's trying to find where that diffuser is going down. He's not going to get the kill before it gets confirmed, and the swing on yellow stairs confirms him. Now it is locked 1 versus 1. Paolu versus Duds. Similar hit points on both players. And holding angles. Neither wants to peek. The swing comes in from Duds. Is he going to be successful? Yes, the repeat from Paolu isn't successful. And INTZ get the plant and get the round.
Oh, this is going so well for INTZ now, and so much of the end of that round was really touch and go. But I think what gave them what they needed is when Liquid relinquished a lot of their positions to push forward and take those 1v1s. What ended up happening is the trades backwards and forwards, but it meant that there was no one taking control of yellow stairs. So once those last couple of players of Liquid were pushing forward because the plant was going down, that one last player, I believe it was VNX, who was providing the supporting cover, had yellow stairs to himself. He could get that kill, and then you've got the 1v1. And at that point, yes, that can come down to either one of them. One of them had the high ground, though, and we've all seen Star Wars. We know how that goes. So that did give INTZ the advantage there. But the fact that they actually managed to make the plant happen, because they were really low on time when they decided to jump in through the breach. And the breach was made actually maybe 15 seconds prior to that. They had some time to do it. It's the fact that they held back on jumping in. And as soon as you saw one guy go down when vaulting through the breach, that's when I thought, they've just walked straight into their deaths. But no, flying going down at the front of White Van worked out great for them.
As soon as you see the breached a little bit scuffed, where they've not quite got it to the floor level and it's kind of a vault and it's a little bit awkward to get in easily, as soon as you see that moment, then you add on to it the lunchbox, the diffuser is on the threshold. You just think, this is going to be a tough task really, isn't it, for these attackers? But INTZ made it work. It was beautiful stuff. And I think we can swing back to something that I said earlier on, just before all the action started to unfold, and that's that Liquid didn't seem to be comfortable in where they were playing. They weren't comfortable in the angles that they were holding, and INTZ just took full advantage of that and a real ticking down clock. Now, the big question is, Gio, is it repeatable? Is this something that INTZ can continue to do? Because so far, they're not looking bad.
Well, I was concerned in round 8 that it wasn't going to be something repeatable because Liquid would have their number. And I was wrong about that. And once again, Team Liquid had decided to go to a different site, but this time INTZ won't be getting the opening kill. It's actually a really nice C4 from Sexy Cake onto VNX, and he's been quite a pivotal player as well. Also, because they are going onto the split site, not having the Sledge, and now not having the Zafir, and now not having the Nomad, really key operators to get rid of. You don't have that self-destruction with which you can open up the floor. You don't have the air jabs with which you can prevent the flanks from the defenders. This round looks very, very favored towards Team Liquid already.
Really has just flipped 180. Can Duds be the difference maker? Pushes in, finds a kill over onto Palu. Almost a second onto PSK, but the Alder reigns supreme. Drunks now trying to finish what his teammate couldn't. Finds another onto Nesk, and well, if we look at the hit points available, PSK isn't too healthy. He's one bullet to almost any gun at this point. Sexy Kate, can he gather this information? The cardiac sensor could be huge right now. He doesn't have a C4 in hand, and the diffuser has been recovered by Drunks. There's all the chance in the world that a plant could go down here, as it doesn't look to me as though Liquid have solid intel. I'm questioning why Sexy Cake isn't in his scanner. Does anybody know of PSK's whereabouts? The answer, unfortunately for INTZ, is going to be no. 1 health or not, PSK makes it work and locks in what could have been a bit of an upset round.
Yeah, I mean, PSK knew that he was there for quite a while. He went onto the stairs, he reloaded, he was walking up and down. He was just waiting patiently in Harry Potter because he could absolutely hear where that last player was, and Team Liquid had absolutely no reason to push onto him or be aggressive or anything like that. So that was quite relaxed at the end there for Team Liquid. Getting those opening kills really worked out for them, and there wasn't a ton that INTZ could do after that. So going to the upstairs side, this is the point at which Team Liquid are on match point. And so if they are to achieve it in this round, it'll be a 7-3 finish. However, they did not successfully defend CEO when they came here in round 7. So could be the opportunity for INTZ to drag this out even further. However, the question is, can they recreate what they did last time, or are they going to have to change it to scamaz Team Liquid once again?
There was something that really caught my attention in the previous round, and it was the mirror pick. And it wasn't the mirror pick as much as where the mirror window was placed. Now, I want to see if Mirror places the mirror window downstairs inside a piano yet again. At the moment, it looks as though PSK is going to be opting for maybe more predictable and typical mirror windows, but he is going to make his way downstairs. And it was just quite an interesting point, because you just wonder why so much utility is getting invested in that portion of the map. We'll have to see if anything comes of it here and now, or if INTZ are able to maybe bypass that once again, we saw them do previously.
Well, Hornetown has been the opening kill both times that INTZ have won their attacks. But he went down pretty quickly. He was the second death, I think, in that last round. So I actually think him simply being alive and having the opportunity to get those early kills is quite pivotal for INTZ. Team Liquid will know that. They'll know that he's a key player. I'm wondering how that's going to go this time, if he'll be able to achieve that once again.
Ringer there going for a bit of a risky reinforce, as he just decided he wanted a bit more surety inside of A site. He has lost quite a great deal of health though. He'll make a bit of a rotation and just give himself something to keep off. Make sure all his utility is used, as he really is only 1 bullet at this point. Going to try and gather some intel for his team. You can see Z pings coming out there as well. Sexy Kate was fairly quick to die the previous round, where we saw this in round number 7, as I think I don't know, he just got caught out there on the Echo, but we haven't really seen any sort of impact from those yokai drones.
No, not particularly. So that's definitely going to be something to look out for again, I suppose, when we actually end up getting to that part of the round, because so far INTZ have been playing this pretty slowly. We've still got some nice flank drones, which is good, and it looks like Drunkster is going to be heading on upstairs to the balcony and provide some pressure onto Meeting from outside it, since that flank drone told him that there wasn't really anything to worry about right there. Still, everyone is standing, and we're in the final minute. This is quite unusual for this game so far. Still looking for that opening kill. Everyone's just holding these angles.
The dangerous thing about holding the angles in this situation is that you've got Liquid holding the angles on the reverse. SK got a bit of intel there as to Vitz's location. Maybe going to try and challenge onto it, but Looks as though Paolo is almost lying in wait as well at the top of those spiral stairs as he goes in for a gunfight. It's going to be Nest to find the first as we get into that final 20 seconds and the kills start to fly. VNX recovers the diffuser and is going to attempt to plant, but there is somebody playing below, and that somebody is PSK, and he does have a nitro cell. Now the diffuser's cold, and with 11 seconds left, it's going to be very difficult for Duds or Hornetow to get into a position to recover it. The final 2 kills come in as expected, and Team Liquid take this map.
It took them maybe a couple more rounds than they expected, but they made that last round look particularly comfortable, and it was the result that I think many of us did also expect. I do think in that second half, though, INTZ put in more than I anticipated. They made it harder for Liquid than I thought, but overall, this result, really what we expected.
You just got to look at the scoreboard, really, and that is going to paint quite a thorough picture.